Before I proceed, I'd love to respect two my spiritual teachers. So whichever way you turn it, you can never please everyone. So the tradition that we are here associated with or participating in is called Bhakti Yoga, and it is literally a tradition of devotion to Krishna, devotion to God. And so some people say, oh, it's all devotional, there's no philosophy. And then at other times you speak philosophy, what is this philosophy? Tell me a few stories. So whichever way you turn it, it's hard to please everyone. However, the tradition of Bhakti is colorful. It is variegated. And so in this variegatedness, there's a bit of philosophy, and there's a bit more of philosophy, and then there's also other things. So, I shall read just one statement, short statement from a book. And it's a philosophical statement. and then I will, this is the challenge for me, and then I will try to explain it so that all that philosophy gets demystified. And so this way we hopefully will be able to understand why philosophy. Because you just, I'll say it right now and then I'll say it at the end. Because you cannot just, every time you speak, you cannot communicate everything at all times. Even if you were to try to describe just this cup as to what it is, to fully understand this cup, we would have to write books and encyclopedias, etc., etc. But in short term, we just say, oh, it's a cup. So similar philosophy is like that, just a few words that encapsulate a certain aspect of reality. So I shall read the statement. Statement is as follows. Maya has two functions. One is called Maya, and the other is called Pradhana. Maya refers to the efficient cause, and Pradhana refers to the ingredients that create the cosmic manifestation. So has anyone understood anything? It's so cryptic. Maya has two functions. One is called Maya, and the other is called Pradhana. Maya refers to the efficient cause, and Pradhana refers to the ingredients that create the cosmic manifestation. So, this is taken from a book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya, which literally means middle of pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is from the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Swami, I believe, right? So, okay, let's unpack this. First, there are two Sanskrit words here that we may not be familiar with, and there is one English word that we may not be familiar with. The two Sanskrit words are, one is Maya and the other one is Pradhana. And the English word is efficient. So, Maya sometimes refers to illusion, and in a basic sense of the term, but it also means more than that. And Pradhana refers to the matter, everything, this whole material, literally material physical creation. This is called Pradhana. And so, first it says that Maya has two functions. One is called Maya, and the other one is called Pradhana. So, Pradhana refers to material ingredients, like literally physical ingredients that go into building all of this stuff. Like, for example, you may have a brick, but how did you get the brick? Anyone here ever made a brick? Yeah, you grab some dirt, some water, and expose it to pressure and heat. And that's how you get the brick. But the brick is nothing but transformation of dirt. That's what the brick is. So, okay, here we have buildings, we have tables, we have floors, we have cars, we have cell phones, mic stands, microphones. But all of this, when it's broken down, comes into just a pile of material particles. These material particles, when they're broken completely down, this is called Pradhana. So Maya has two functions. One is Pradhana. So that means that one function of Maya is to create out of these small, tiny particles everything. As a matter of fact, if you were to, and some people do this, anyone here ever did a hyperlapse? Hyperlapse? Okay, so probably no one even knows what that is. Anyone knows what a hyperlapse is? Lapse, right? Lapse of time. Lapse of time. And then hyperlapse means that a lot of time has passed. And what you do, you record one fragment of physical reality during a longer period of time. And then you play it real fast. That's called hyperlapse. And see, if you were to do a hyperlapse of, well, people have done many things. But if you were to do like, let's say 1,000-year hyperlapse, all you would see is buildings rising and then coming down. Plants coming out and then going down. And then people, well, probably wouldn't see people zipping by. But in other words, what we would see is what I heard one devotee called atomic dance. It's just a bunch of atoms joining together here, and then this joining from this group and joining another group, and therefore one form breaks apart, another form forms. And he called this atomic dance. I said, yeah, that's what it is. This is atomic dance. So this is called Pradhana. This is called Pradhana. And Maya literally refers to a person behind it all. To a person behind it all. In other words, all this hyperlapsing stuff, the atomic dancing, this is not just random. There's some purpose to it. May seem like a random thing and like a cool thing to make a hyperlapse out of. But there is a purpose behind it. And to illustrate, so Pradhana is the one purpose, and Maya is, actually Pradhana is the second purpose, and Maya is the first purpose. So, to illustrate the first purpose, I will tell a story from Srila Prabhupada's life. Srila Prabhupada was the founder of this movement, the Acharya. He was in Mayapur, which is not anymore, but used to be quite a peaceful place in West Bengal, India. And Srila Prabhupada used to, throughout his latter part of his life, he would get up he would go to bed at about 10, between 10 and 11, and then he would sleep for an hour or two, and then he would get up between midnight and 1 o'clock. And then he would chant Harekrishna, meditate on Harekrishna mantra, and then he would write. He would write his books while everyone else was asleep. And mind you, to some people these books may not be important, but that's their problem. To me they're very important, and to a whole lot of people they're very important. And from my point of view they're important for everyone, because they teach that which is ultimately very important. So, in one point, two birds started to build a nest right outside of his window. And so as they were nesting in there, they would make noise during the early morning hours before sunrise when he was there to write his books. And I don't know if you guys ever tried to write a book. I wrote a few articles. You couldn't get me to write a book if you paid me. But I'm writing a book because I was ordered to do so. And it requires tremendous amount of focus. Tremendous amount of focus. Just one detail. If you write an article, it's sort of easy to pace yourself, because at all times in your mind you can keep the pace of the article. But if you write a book, it's so voluminous, or voluminous, or both, just voluminous. It is so voluminous that you cannot keep it all in your mind at any given time. So therefore you can lose the pace of the book, which makes for a bad book. I mean, bad book in the sense that that book will have a hard time to keep your attention because it goes fast and then too slow. You think, come on, man, speed up. So it's a great challenge to properly pace the book. And so it requires a great amount of concentration. That's why most writers, they go on writer retreats. You just have to disappear for months, not just a couple of days. It's really, really disturbing. It is amazing that Prabhupada held a very rather dynamic, hectic life. And he would write every day in the early morning hours. But there were these birds now moved in. And so as he would try to focus, these birds were chirped. right outside of his window. So after a few days of this ordeal, he was receiving a massage from one of his disciples, assistants, and so as this devotee was kneading his muscle tissues, Prabhupada pointed, very composed, pointed towards the birds, and he said that they're nesting there. And it is difficult to concentrate as I write because they chirp a lot. And so he asked this devotee to try to do something about it. And so this is harekrishna. This devotee decided to, because they just started to build the nest. They didn't really build it. They just started to build it. So he thought, I'll just dismantle it. So they'll go somewhere else and they'll build the nest somewhere else. And minimal amount of violence here. So as the birds were out and about collecting straw and sticks, twigs, not called sticks, he dismantled the thing. But they, upon coming back, they were unfazed by it, so they just rebuilt it. And they built the whole thing and took off. And so while they were away, he thought, what to do now? So he decided to stuff the nest with paper. So he crumpled some paper and stuffed it in. And in the meanwhile, one bird returned, saw Harishauri, saw Prabhupada, and saw the paper in the nest. And so started to try to pull the paper out of the nest. And it was really working at it, and he was not successful. Took off, and sometime later returned with the other birds, with the partner. And so now they together, with their beaks, they bit on the paper and started to pull on it. And then after, I think he said 15, 20 minutes, they managed to pull it out. 15, 20 minutes of hard labor. They managed to pull it off. And so they continued to build the nest, and then they again took off to collect some twigs and straw, etc. And this time Maharshal was, wow, what to do now? So now we crumpled even more paper, and then stuffed it in really, really hard. And so when the birds returned, they tried again to remove the paper, but this time after half an hour of trying, they eventually gave up. They eventually gave up and decided to build their nest somewhere else. So, Harishauri versus birds, victory. And seeing all this, Srila Prabhupada made a comment. I might have printed it. Yes, I have. Prabhupada then drew an interesting parallel. He told me that even though the birds had eyes, they could not see. And so this is the relationship between Pradhana and Maya. Those of you who have just arrived, tough luck. This is the relationship between Pradhana and Maya. So, they could see, but they couldn't see. Right? They saw paper, they saw the nest, they saw Prabhupada, they saw Harishauri, but they didn't get it. They didn't get it. So, therefore, although they were trying so hard to build their house, they couldn't see that the person who had prevented them stood nearby watching. So they continued on in ignorance, trying to make adjustments and struggling against the superior arrangement. He explained how, in the same way, the materialistic persons, though having eyes, are unable to see how Maya, the material energy, is supervising all their efforts. They simply struggle on, making adjustments, hoping to improve their lives and secure their place in the material world, not understanding that Maya is watching their every move and defeating them at every step. Now, disagree with this kind of picture of life, but one way of gauging life is that which happens between catastrophes. It's inevitable. As much as we hope, as much as we pray, as much as we meditate, as much as we bribe, whatever arrangements we may make, there's no way we can avoid trouble. And so one way of looking at life is that which happens from trouble to trouble. So there's one trouble, and then after trouble's over, we're like, oh, good, this is now good, I'm living, everything's fine now. But after some time, again, a trouble will come. And so just like these birds, right, they decided to build a nest in one place, and they were building the nest, but by the superior power, by the decision of someone more powerful than them, they were not able to build the house. And so even though they almost completed it, the house was eventually dismantled. So, you know, the question of suffering, the question of troubles in life is something that plagues the human mind. But here it is stated that Maya has two functions. One is called Pradhana, and this is the immediate function. And then there is Maya, also same word Maya, which is the efficient cause. Efficient cause means a remote cause. Means that there's some purpose to this higher arrangement. So the birds couldn't understand what the higher plan was, but there was a higher plan. And it was a plan by some other being. And it was meant to not have them settled there. Now, as much as we, of course, I mean, we could, and we do that, please don't get me wrong. We do go around and we encourage people and try to help people to have as nicer and as beautiful lives as possibly they could have. But unlike certain teachers, we cannot bring ourselves to the point of lying. And what is the colossal lie? The colossal lie is that there will be no trouble in life. If you live like this, you're simply setting yourself up for a huge disappointment and a whole lot of hurt. And now, this is reality. This is reality. And just because it's real means it's good. It only appears bad because we don't relate to it appropriately. If we relate to it appropriately, then actually we can see how good it is. Because there is a larger purpose behind it. So instead of telling people, yeah, just do some pranayama and some yoga and, you know, be vegan and everything will be fine. You'll never be unhappy in this. But that's not true. I mean, you'll definitely live much better. And therefore we tell people these kind of things. But to say that there will never be trouble in life, it's actually too long. There will be trouble in life, as Srila Prabhupada says, because the purpose of Maya is to defeat. To defeat and to defeat what? Yes, yes. The plan is to expose that which isn't true. Like, for example, our stomachs are made to digest organic food, not plastic bags. And so if we eat plastic bags, sure, we can go to a doctor and the doctor will, I don't know, do what? lower a fishing hook down our throat and fish out the plastic bags. And then we can go home and eat some more plastic bags. But it's ludicrous because stomach is meant to digest nice organic matter, not plastic stuff. So similarly, as much as we would like to light fire underwater, that's just not possible. So to try to live in this world in an impossible way is same as trying to eat plastic bags or light fire underwater. And so what is that incongruous way of trying to live in this world? The incongruous way of trying to live in this world as if this world is our permanent home. But at every step there is trouble. None of us, you're all blinking, I was noticing, by the way. We're all blinking, not because we're in ecstasy, but because if you didn't blink, it would become so painful. And also when we sit, we shed. Why do we shed? Not because we're in ecstasy, but because we need to avoid pain. Why do we exercise? Out of ecstasy? Yeah, right. But there's a tendency to self-illusion, to cover us with, no, this is all for my ecstasy. I mean, there is ecstasy, there is bliss, and we want that, no doubt. But to try to live incongruously with reality is just that. It's a big lie, and therefore it's a setup. We're setting ourselves up for disappointment. And the material, the physical world is arranged in such a way that there is a message at every step that this is not our eternal home. It's more like a bus stop. We get off the bus and onto the bus station, and then we meet. We meet different people at the bus stop. And we develop friends, but then another bus comes and we have to go. And we're like, oh no. But if you're conscious that you're on a journey, did you forget? But you're off to this amazing place. You somehow or other forgot, and you got so attached to a bus stop. And now you're having issues. So the news, I mean, to me this makes a lot of sense, and at least made my life so much nicer, and even here at the bus stop, in this temporary world, it made my life so much nicer. The fact that I know I'm on a journey. And I'm on a journey back to the spiritual world, the real, eternal world, which is not constantly exposed to decay and destruction. Here, whatever we build, whether it's a concrete or an abstract thing, we build concrete things such as buildings, etc., or we may build abstract things such as arrangements for our comfort. And all of this is constantly attacked by time. And this is not a bad news. There's no need to shut our eyes to this. This is a great news. This is just the bus stop. We're on a wonderful journey to an amazing place. It's a great news. And so even while at the bus stop, it makes the life so much nicer. But to think that, oh, this bus stop and the people and the relationship and everything develop here, my family, all of this, I grow, I develop this amazingly awesome, deep attachment that, you know, when the time is to to leave the place, leave the situations, leave the people, leave the arrangements. We're like, oh, you have to suffer because we have developed inordinate attachment. We definitely, it is very natural. Everyone is attached. But we should be attached to that which is, like if I go places, and I do travel a fair bit, I meet nice people, and I'm so glad to meet them, and I become attached to them, but not in such a way that I'm thinking, I will be living with these people forever. No, I will not. That's for sure. Because I have to catch my flight to the next destination. And even if I would stay longer than 3 days, they would boot me out. So this is the difference between Maya and Pradhana. Pradhana is just constructing these bus stops and buses and pavement and tickets and brochures and counters and tires and whatnot. That's all Pradhana. But Maya is literally that conscious purpose behind it all. That is telling us, this is just a bus stop, you're on the journey. And so now, what is this journey? Yeah, in one tradition they say, you have fallen from the grace. And in Krishna consciousness we're saying, you have fallen from Krishna faith. Or you have fallen from love. You have fallen from love of God. You have fallen from a devotional platform. You have fallen from spiritual life. You have fallen from the platform of devotional service. And so therefore, we're on this journey. The purpose of this journey is to learn to purely love again. To purely love God. And all that which is inseparable, therefore part of God, such as all other souls. That is the journey. And the journey will continue for as long or as short as we need, or want, or need. Yeah, need. To learn this. So I will tell you one story from Abhaya, and then I will end there. And it's called the trial of Abhaya, because this story sort of encapsulates that which is the greatest and eternal enemy of devotion, of Bhakti. Now, you may not be familiar, but in ancient times, in Vedic culture, young boys, they would go to school. Of course, all children go to school. But in Vedic times, school is a little bit different. They would go to school of a guru. And the guru would teach them how to read and write and philosophy and history and different arts. But primarily, a guru would teach him good character and teach him pure bhakti, or pure devotion, pure devotional service. And so, they would live with the guru, and they would live, even the sons of kings would do this, and they would live very simple, renounced lives. And it was a common practice that these students would go out and they would go to a nearby village, and they would go from door to beg. Of course, nowadays when you say beg, people kind of get concerned. But back then, no one begged, because India was very rich, by the way, before it got polluted, plundered. And the only people who begged were renunciates and students. Because that was a sort of expression of humility, and people, even nowadays, there's a culture whenever I go to India, when people see that I'm dressed as a monk, then they tend to, even without asking, offer things, and even money sometimes, and like that, fruit, and they invite you to stay at their home, etc., etc. So these students would go out and beg from door to door, and there are even mantras they would recite for begging. And then, because men would usually be out and women working in the fields, and women would be at home, so women would be, mothers would be wanting to give alms, donations to these brahmacharis. It would usually be food, firewood, like that. And so, this was a common practice. And then upon coming back, the student would give everything that he collected by begging to the guru. And then guru or his wife would cook, and then would eat first, then would feed the students. But students would practice this, that they would never take anything without approval of the guru, and they would literally live very renounced lives, even if they were sons of the king. And so Abhimanyu was like this, a student. And what he was doing in service was to herd cows. He had a herd of cows, and he was taking care of these cows. And so the guru noticed that Abhimanyu was kind of a little chubby. And he was like, I don't recall ever feeding you. How do you manage to stay so nice and fatty? By the way, well, I have some other thing. But fatty in many civilizations was considered an opulence. Not like unhealthy, obese, but well, was considered nice. Even Romans, like for example, modern concept of feminine beauty is literally sick. I'm sorry. It's my couple of sticks. I mean, some women are natural like that, but this is promoted as a feminine beauty. And so all women experience pressure that they have to look like that. But Romans, for example, they saw that that wasn't beautiful. They liked more, and even if you look at Roman sculptures and art, they all portray women as like 3 times more. I'm just saying, it changes in the course of time as to what is beautiful. So he was a little chubby. And Guru asked him, I don't recall feeding you. How do you manage to be like that? Says, and he was honest. He says, well, after I'm done with herding cows, I go to the village and I beg. And Guru said, but when you beg, don't you know, when you beg, you have to give everything to the Guru. It's not that you beg and keep for yourself. Even like modern Brahmins also practice this. They don't keep anything for themselves. So and I says, yes, no problem. I will follow your instruction. And so, and then after some time, the Guru noticed that he wasn't losing any weight. And says, so what's going on now? He says, well, after I'm done with herding cows, I go out and beg, and then I give everything to you, and then I go beg again for me. What kind of a student I got here? He's not getting it. No, Abhimanyu, you can't do that. Even if you go second time begging, you still have to give everything to me. Even if you go third and fourth and fifth, so quit that program. And so after some time, Abhimanyu was still a little plump. And so Guru was curious, what's going on now? He says, well, when I herd cows, I just drink their milk. But the Guru says, no, but the cow's milk is for the cows, by the way. First you feed the calves, cow's milk, first feed the calves, and then what's left, then you take for human consumption. And that's meant for calves. And then, you know, whatever left is all, whatever low is left over, that's appropriate, that's expected for certain purpose. You cannot just pay, you know, oh, okay, I will do it. And then after some time, it was still nice and fatty. And so Guru asks, well, what's the program now? He says, well, I don't drink anymore, but I collect the frost when, you know, the calves. I don't know if you've ever seen calves drink, they're really greedy. And then, because they literally chew on the udders of the cow, and then they chew on the milk, and so it foams around their mouths, and then it collects that foam. Anyhow, the story goes on for 3 more days. And so, finally, when Guru covers all the possibilities, all 2 billion options, finally Abhimanyu was getting hungry. And being hungry, he ate some leaves. And he didn't realize that he ate some semi-poisonous leaves, which induced temporary blindness. And so, being blinded, he was walking in the dark, so to speak, and he fell into a ditch. And then the sun went down, the night fell, and he didn't return to the ashram of his Guru. And Guru was, where is my dear student Abhimanyu? And he went out to search for him. And they were shouting, and eventually the Guru and the students found him. He was in a deep ditch. And so the Guru asked what happened, he explained, and the Guru told him, now you should offer prayers to Ashwini Kumara, the sort of like divine medicine men, so to speak. And he offered these beautiful prayers to Ashwini, really beautiful. And the Ashwini Kumaras, being mystics, they from apparently nowhere manifested before him in the ditch. He explained the situation, and then they manifested a cake. It wasn't a cake, but it was something cake-like to eat. And they gave it to him and told him to eat. He took it and he was about to put it in his mouth, and he said, but I can't. I have to offer it to my Guru. And then the Ashwini Kumar says, but no need to offer it to your Guru. No need, it's medicine. And by the way, your Guru, many years ago, even before you were born, he was in a similar situation, and we also gave him this kind of a cake, and he ate it without offering it to the Guru. Medicine you need not offer. And he was about to swallow and said, but no, I can't. I have to offer it to my Guru first. Unless my Guru says it's okay, I won't take it. And so, in this way, they were very pleased with him. And of course, the Guru said, yeah, of course. So in this way, you learn a very valuable lesson. And this is a lesson that's seldom, the value of this lesson is seldom understood in modern days. That is that selfishness is literally opposite to devotion. It is diametrically opposite. As a matter of fact, in modern times, the distinction between the two is so smudged, so obscured, that people cannot even differentiate between lust and love. One is selfless, and the other one is selfish. And they're literally diametrically opposite. One destroys the other. They cannot coexist in the same place. And so one of the things in Vedic culture, one of the first things, most basic things that a brahmachari, a student, would learn is to be selfless servant. And so even before taking anything, we first offer to the Guru. I have a guru, and he offers everything to his guru. He offers even his clothes. Like when he gets a new garment, he first offers it to his guru and then to Krishna, and then he wears it. And same thing with food. We don't just take food. We first offer it to a guru, and the guru then offers it to Krishna, and then we take it. And this is, we could say, a small detail, but it encapsulates a very important principle, that love is selfless, and lust is selfish. And so, in this world, we're here to literally practice a devotion to Krishna. And devotion to Krishna necessitates, if we want to experience life of devotion, if we want our hearts inundated with devotion for Krishna, with devotion to all beings, if we want to be in that sweet kind of existence, we cannot be cultivating selfishness. And that is one of the most important lessons we learn in this life. And one of the very powerful ways of practicing this, and you won't believe it, is chanting of Hare Krishna. First time when I was given these meditation chanting beads, and I was told to chant, I was thinking, man, now when I start to chant, I will see all these wonderful colors, and I'll be like some kind of acid trip or something. I would have an amazing experience. Then I chanted, and nothing happened. And I went for hours, and nothing happened. And that is the point. We don't chant for some fuzzy mystical experiences. Like one asset had in the early days of ISKCON, came to Prabhupada. Swamiji, when I chant, then this color turns into another, and then there's a dragon, and then Prabhupada said, keep chanting, it will go away. That's not the point of it. The point is to literally, in devotion, in love, call out to Krishna. And so therefore, this chanting of Hare Krishna is literally a selfless practice, which is accompanied with selfless service. So we do two things. We chant Hare Krishna without any expectation that I'll be now trembling in ecstasy here. We chant like that Hare Krishna, and we practice selfless service. Selfless service specifically through the instructions of the Guru. If you don't have a Guru, that's okay, but sooner or later we should come to the point of establishing a connection with an authentic spiritual master. And then serve, chant Hare Krishna and serve under the guidance of such a teacher. So that we can learn to practice selflessness. So we can actually experience true love, true devotion, ultimately Bhakti Yoga, devotional service in our hearts. And that is what the verse says. So Maya has two functions. One is called Maya, and the other is called Pradhana. Maya refers to the efficient cause, and Pradhana refers to the ingredients that create the cosmic manifestation. And it is a philosophical little capsule, and I hope you all read Prabhupada's books regularly, but if you do, you will quickly learn that you cannot speed read them, that you really have to pay a great deal of attention. Because they're really impregnated with a lot of wisdom. And so this was a quick fluff out of this philosophical statement. Any questions or comments? Yes. You definitely could do that, and that's very nice of you, if you're the one who's doing it. Sorry about that. She asked whether we could chant Hare Krishna on behalf or for the benefit of someone else. And I said that yes, we could do that, but ultimately the other person will not benefit unless that person comes to the point of understanding that this is a bus stop, that this is a temporary place where we are, and we're on a journey. And the journey can be as long or as short as needed for us to reach that amazing place called Krishna consciousness. And so, by us chanting for someone else, there is value to that. Srila Prabhupada, as a matter of fact, comments about this in one of his commentaries to a verse in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam. And he said that Krishna dwells everywhere at all times. And one of the places where he dwells is also the hearts of all living beings. So Krishna is in the hearts of all living beings. And he said that when a devotee, with a pure motive, is, what's the word? Supplicating, praying to, supplicating the super soul in the heart of a person, then to help that person spiritually, then the super soul within the heart of that person will try to make arrangements so that person can come closer or move forward faster on their spiritual journey. Say it. Say it. Well, the news is that Hare Krishna is just literally the sound Hare Krishna, etc. That mantra is just one form of the sound of Hare Krishna. But the essence of this sound is a devotional call of the soul for God. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in this format. It does not necessarily have to be made up of these syllables. Prabhupada, when he spoke to people of different religious, spiritual traditions, he hardly ever told them you should chant Hare Krishna. He just told them whatever your prayer is, just call out to God sincere. Because that is the essence of the Hare Krishna mantra. Of course, the Hare Krishna mantra contains a lot more than that. But really a lot. Very esoteric stuff, etc., etc. So it's not that if someone just says Hare Krishna now, they're off they go on a super fast plane to Krishna's place. No, Krishna's place is not a physical place. It's a metaphysical place. It's a spiritual place. And we get there by actually making our consciousness same as that place. It's not a matter of whether they said Hare Krishna or not. The matter is whether they're really wanting to love God, whether they're really wanting to love all souls, whether it's a matter of whether they really want to be a servant rather than a master. It's not a matter of reaching some physical location. And as a matter of fact, you could be chanting Hare Krishna forever and not get any spiritual benefit. Unless our chanting of Hare Krishna is actually calling out to Krishna. Bahujanapati Adishravanam Kirtan Tabuthanapaya Krishna Paya. People literally says, you could for billions of lifetimes be chanting Hare Krishna and not develop love of God. Hard to imagine because even the mantra in itself would have some effect. In other words, it would change a person's mind. But the point is that I hope we're not cultivating fanatics around here who then go out there and tell people, say Hare Krishna and you'll be saved. It doesn't work like that. That's a rather naive, oversimplified concept. But people have to understand that there is Maya and there is Pradhana. You have to want to love God. To love souls, to be a servant, to see the divine nature of everything, like that. And the chanting Hare Krishna is not a religious curse or something. I mean, there's all kinds of people. God is great. These people are out of their minds. So, okay, that's the last one. Yes, most definitely. Just like when you enter this temple, in many ways people define this temple as a physical space. But when you enter here, you have to admit it's different than on the parking lot of the fireplace across the street. So similar, because this place carries the atmosphere of Bhakti. So similar, the Hare Krishna mantra carries the atmosphere, the qualities of Bhakti, and by being exposed to it, it does trigger, it wakes up the sleeping soul. It helps wake up the sleeping soul. But not necessarily that you say once Hare Krishna